what did the court say? So here are the facts. In July 2021, Mr. Ankama Nifa won a judgment at the Cape Coast High Court nullifying Mr. Kwesi's election on the basis that the MP held Canadian citizenship at the time he filed to contest the seat. He then went to the Supreme Court in January this year for an interpretation of Article 94(2)A, the same constitutional provision that the High Court used to nullify Mr. Kwesi's election. His basis for going to the Apex Court was that despite the judgment by the High Court, Mr. Kwesi still continued to carry himself as an MP. At the High Court on December 30, 2020, Mr. Ankama filed a parliamentary election petition at the Cape Coast High Court challenging the eligibility of Mr. Kwesi to be an MP. Okay, the court upheld the petition and on July 28, 2021 declared Mr. Kwesi's election as void on the basis that he owed allegiance to another country other than Ghana, contrary to Article 94(2) of the 1992 Constitution. The court, presided over by Justice Adom-Otchere, ordered the Electoral Commission to organize a new election in the constituency. At the Court of Appeal, Honorable Kwesi prayed the court to throw out a judgment by a Cape Coast High Court, which declared his election as a parliamentarian null and void. Presiding Judge Irene Charity Labi said on Tuesday, 22nd March 2022, that Mr. Judge Kwesi did not comply with the court's directive that he makes his written submission available within 21 days from the time of filing the application in October last year. Mr. Nifa sought an interpretation of Article 94. So this at the Supreme Court. At the Court of Appeal. So viewers, let me just do a quick roundup. So at the High Court, Mr. Nifa filed against Mr. Kwesi and he won. Mr. Nifa was concerned that Mr. Kwesi, having lost the case, is still holding himself out as a member of parliament and continuing to participate in parliamentary proceedings. He therefore sought an interpretation at the Supreme Court in terms of the article that had been used. In the meantime, Mr. Kwesi went to Court of Appeal to try and challenge or change the High Court decision. His lawyer was Mr. Chikata. The Court of Appeal said that they had asked him to come and file his submission within 21 days of filing his appeal. So he files the appeal. He knows he has 3 weeks to file the submission. He doesn't, and the court throws him out. And so now the Supreme Court matter is what is going to settle this. So let's hear what the Supreme Court said. At the Supreme Court, Mr. Nifa sought an interpretation of Article 94 of the Constitution, which provides for the prevention of an individual having allegiance to two different countries from being MPs. The court held as follows: that upon a true and proper interpretation of Article 94(2)A, the decision of the second defendant, which is the Electoral Commission, to permit the first defendant, James Kwesi, to contest the parliamentary election of Assin North when the first defendant, Kwesi, had not shown evidence of the cancellation of his citizenship of Canada, is an act which is inconsistent with and violates Article 94(2)A of the 1992 Constitution, unquote. So this is what the Court of Appeal said. This is what the Supreme Court has said, and the Supreme Court gave this in a unanimous decision held in Accra the other day. Let's go to which Supreme Court judges handed down this ruling. And the court was led by Justice Jones-Joche, one of the judges who will be sadly bowing out of the court sometime this year. They'll be bowing out of the court. Justice Doche is retiring. Thank you very much, sir. You've done a wonderful job for Ghana. Justice Doche was the president of this court. Justice Mariama Owusu, who will be on the court for a while. Good evening, madam. You're doing a good job for Ghana. Mariama Owusu was also on the court. Justice Nena Megache, Ofoya Megache, was also on the court. And this is the new CJ, Justice Tokonu, who was also on this particular panel. Welcome to the job, madam. We wish you the best. This is Professor Henrietta Mensah-Bonsu, who was also on the panel. Good evening, madam. This, I believe, is Barbara Kayensu, who was also on the panel of the Supreme Court. Quite a lot of them. Oh, this is Justice Kulendi. Oh, that's a major panel. Very, very solid panel. Justice Yoni Kulendi was also there. This is the lawyer for the Nifa, the guy who challenges. And this is lawyer Frank Davis, quite well known. A big member of the Greater Accra Bar and the National Bar, and also used to be constituency chairman of Ladade Kotopon for the New Patriotic Party. Frank Davis is currently the chairman also of the Ghana Road Transport Authority. Okay, Mr. Chikata also represented Mr. Kwesi in most of the cases. So that's the story about Mr. Kwesi. Let's get on to now talk about the politics of it. What are the political implications? Oh, sorry, I think that I need to go through this. The minority leadership responding to the matter. A statement on Supreme Court ruling directing Parliament to remove Honorable James Kwesi. These are two forces speaking. The Minority Caucus has become aware of the Supreme Court's decision invalidating the nomination, election, and subsequent swearing in of Honorable James Kwesi, Member of Parliament for Assin North, as being unconstitutional and of no legal effect, and subsequently directing Parliament to expunge his name from its records. It is important to place on record that as at the time of his election, Honorable James Kwesi was not a dual citizen. Neither was he a dual citizen by the time he took the oath of office as a member of Parliament. Those are correct. The intention of the framers of Ghana's constitution is not to allow a dual citizen to perform the functions of a member of Parliament. It is therefore baffling that the Supreme Court could direct the removal from Parliament of such a person who has been duly elected as a member of Parliament. While we are yet to study the reasoning of the court in making its decision, it appears to be a slap in the face of our democracy and the rule of law. We shall inform the public of our position upon reviewing the reasoning of the court in arriving at its decision. We urge our rank and file to be calm while we pursue all legal avenues to ensure that justice is served. That's from Kaisel Atoforsen. Dr. Kaisel Atoforsen, I should say. He is the minority leader. Okay, so that's the NDC's response. Now, let's